we need a campaign of yes that stands in vivid contrast to the secular Chicago machine that's running Washington today. And there are a number of things that we should be saying yes to. We should be saying yes to growing our economy by being friendly to small businesses, by cutting taxes. We should say yes to an all of the above approach to our energy policy. We should try. And we shouldn't let this disaster in the Gulf deter us from seeking to become independent of foreign nations as a source of energy. We can't do that. And I think in some ways this is playing right into our opponent's hands. That's what they want to do. To use this as a stalking horse, to use this as a rationale for promoting their policy of not drilling offshore and exploring good, technologically sound ways to ensure that we're independent of oil in the future. But we should say yes to a policy that tries in all of the above policy, offshore drilling and a lot of the other things that have been talked about. We should say yes to empowering patients and doctors to lower healthcare costs as opposed to taking over the entire industry, which is not good for any of us. We should say yes to creative ways to give parents more opportunities to send their kids to schools where they actually learn something. When kids are tested, and that's important. We've done that. We've led the way here in Virginia with standardized tests, and a lot of other states have followed our lead. But there's more that we can do. Our public schools are really failing a lot of our kids. It doesn't mean that we abandon public schools, but it does mean that we should consider empowering parents to send their kids to schools that will give them an education so that they can succeed in life, so they can answer basic questions about U.S. history. I'm sure some of you have been following the Texas textbook controversy of the past few weeks, but we need school systems that teach our kids important facts about American history, so when kids are asked, where was the Declaration of Independence signed? At the bottom is not a sufficient answer. That they know where it was signed and why it was in Philadelphia and who was involved in the signing of the Declaration of Independence and what it means to our country. And so those are some of the things. I know Ken strongly believes in these things. He's had experience on the school board here in Albemarle County and has served this county well on the Board of Supervisors. Congress needs principled, strong conservatives who believe in America's exceptionalism. I believe in America's exceptionalism. It's hard to look at this country and not believe that there has been providential grace bestowed on our great country. But we are the guardians of that freedom. We're the guardians, and it's left to each generation to take up the mantle, to protect those freedoms that we very often take for granted, and in some cases our government is hostile towards. And never more so than today, right? So it is our responsibility to send good people to Washington who represent our common sense ideals of what America should be about, and people that we can have confidence and faith in, that when the tough votes come, and we need them there, to cast the right vote so that kids in every community, in every city, in every county throughout our great country has an opportunity to learn and to succeed, that business people have an opportunity to live out their God-given talents in their dreams, to grow our economy as a means to expand opportunity rather than raising taxes reflexively to solve some of our problems, which we know that never solves. And Ken represents those ideals. He stood strong for those principles. I'm sure you've been criticized for taking some of the positions but that only means you're doing the right thing, right?
Yes.
You know, when the liberals are saying, oh, he's matured so much since he's been in office, and he's grown, and that you're in trouble then. That means you've probably abandoned your principles and you've just, caved into whatever. That hasn't happened to Ken, and he's just the kind of person that we need in Washington. America is a country that's always unfolding. unlike other nations, we are not a nation that ever arrives. There's never going to be a time when we say, this is America. It's always in a process of evolving and getting better and bringing people into what we believe in as America, sharing our freedoms and our ideals, not having two separate cultures or two separate languages, but one America. E pluribus unum, from many, one. That's been turned on its head. And we've got to get back to that ideal of e pluribus unum. That is America's great promise. That's the bond that's held us together for centuries. And that is our destiny. And in order for us to reach that destiny, we've got to work together and work hard to get good people elected like Ken Boyd, because he does stand for the principles that we all believe in. And it's because of leaders like Ken, who will take the principled stand, that we can have confidence that our best days as a country are not behind us. But through these very difficult times, we can once again be optimistic, and we can start this November by retaking control of the House, and I think we can take control of the Senate as well. And when that happens, if we have a campaign of yes, and leaders who are dedicated and committed to expanding opportunity and growing our economy, and allowing each individual to reach their God-given potential, I think America's best days can still be yet ahead and not behind us. And that is the hope that Ken represents, and that is why it's worth every one of us getting involved and working hard to get him elected, and so that he can be our Republican standard bearer. We've got to send Perriello back to Charlottesville. I think he likes it here, so spend more time here with his family and whatnot. But send Ken to Washington to replace Perriello. So I'm going to say, as they frequently do when you introduce people, without further ado, I've always wanted at least once in my life, I want to know what the further ado is. What is that? Without further ado, what is the further ado? But whatever it is, I want to know what that is at least once. But Ken, unfortunately, you're going to be introduced as without further ado. Good luck to you.
Boy, I tell you, it's always tough to follow Paul when you're going to talk. Obviously, he said a lot of the things that are very important to all of us. But I think I want to start tonight by telling you a little story. Last Saturday or the Saturday before that, they're kind of running together these days because of the schedule we're keeping. I was up early walking my little Jack Russell, as I always do, early in the morning. And he's 11 years old, but he's still got a lot of spunk, and he needs to be walked early in the morning. And he was sort of preoccupied with a turtle we ran across that day and a crow he was trying to run down. And generally I use this time, so a lot of times I use this to kind of reflect on my faith and my relationship with God. It's sort of a very quiet time that I have. This particular day I was thinking about my 4 children. I was thinking about Brenda, my wife, who's here, and Casey, my son, who's here earlier. I was thinking about my 2 grandchildren. And I was thinking about what's the future going to be for them with the way this country is headed right now. I was thinking about how proud I was when Casey came and told me that he was going to join the service. I was nervous like a regular parent, but he said he wanted to serve his country and he was going to do that. I was thinking about my nephew who's getting ready to deploy in Afghanistan. And he's been deployed many times already in Iraq, but he's going back to Afghanistan to serve his country. And then I was thinking about a president who has basically said that they are going to fundamentally change this United States of America. Can you believe that? The country we all believe in, the country that we love, he wants to fundamentally change it. And I think that everything that you've been seeing him do of late is towards that, is changing this country into something that I don't think we want it to be.